Hey guys, Rainbow here. Welcome. Today's review is going to be the Triumph Bonneville T120 Chrome Edition. But there's something a little special about this particular bike, this model bike, that let's talk about it. You see that bike back there? I started riding bikes 50 years ago, but that doesn't mean that I've been consistently riding bikes for the last 50 years. You know, raising kids, working, not having time. There's some gaps in there when I didn't have a motorcycle. Well, enter the Triumph Bonneville. It came in during, well, to end one of those gaps. You see, I was watching a show, an Italian language show called Commissario Manara, Ispettore Manara. It's Inspector Manara, and it was kind of a fun show. It made in Italy, and Commissario Manara, Inspector Manara, he drove one of these. It was a really cool Bonneville, and I remember watching him on the bike, having fun, and having a chick on the back of the bike. That girl, by the way, in that show is gorgeous. If you guys know who she is, you know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I saw that and I was like, yeah, I think it's time to end the drought and get a motorcycle again. So that's exactly what happened. This is during one of my gaps, this is the particular bike that got me back into motorcycles again. So let's take this thing for a spin after we review some specifications. Let's do it. All right, even with the noise in the background, you are looking at a 2023 Triumph Bonneville T120 Chrome Edition. Woo! Look at that ugly reflection of me in there. This bike can be yours for the starting price of $13,495 US. Now, this color here that you see is called Meriden Blue, M-E-R-I-D-E-N Blue. It's kind of it's almost like a baby blue gone slightly gray. It's kind of interesting. I think it looks better from far away. And of course, this is a liquid cooled parallel twin. It's 1200 cc's. Now this 1200 cc's pumps out about 79 horsepower, and that's at a very low 6,550 RPM. But what's really interesting is the torque. 77.4 pound-feet of torque, and that's at a very low and very cool 3,500 RPM. Of course, it has electronic fuel injection. It has a 2-into-2 exhaust. This does come with a wet clutch and a 6-speed gearbox. Now, this does have a tubular steel frame and, of course, a 2-sided swing arm in the back. By the way, don't you love the look of that? Doesn't it almost scream carburetor? So in the back, we have a 32-speed. No, we don't. We have a 32-spoke, 4.25-inch by 17-inch rear wheel, and in the front, it's an 18-inch, and it's still the 32-spoke, but it's again a little bit of a narrow 2.75-inch by 18-inch front wheel. Now, this rear tire isn't all that wide, but it is a cool 150/70 17-inch. And let's talk about the front. The front is a very Bonneville-ish 190 18-inch tire. Now, in the front, you see these forks. They are 41 millimeters, and there are cartridge forks with absolutely no adjustment. And we have twin shocks in the back with, right here, a preload adjustment on both sides, which, to be honest with you, I think is helpful and required, because I think these need to be adjusted no matter what weight you are. Front brakes, dual Brembos, and they are 310 millimeter discs each. And in the back, you are looking at a 255 millimeter disc with, it's a single side, like almost every single bike out there, and that is with a Nissin, not Brembo. So Brembo in the front, Nissin in the back. Now that seat comes in at a respectable 31.1 inches or about 799 millimeters, which makes it very rideable for almost anyone. This gorgeous gas tank holds about 3.8 US gallons or about 14.5 liters. And the overall weight of this bike, wet, which is really the only one that counts, is a respectable 520 pounds. Now, according to the manufacturer, this gets about 60.1 miles to the gallon, so you don't really need too big of a gas tank. So I think this would be a fantastic get up and go commuter bike, just an all-around everything bike. Now, the servicing on that for oil and filter is going to be about every 10,000 miles. That's what they call for. Let's talk about traction control. The bike comes with traction control, has front and rear ABS, and it also has a cruise control, believe it or not. There are two ride modes on this bike. It's road and rain. That's about it, road and rain. So let's take a quick peek at it one more time, see what the styling looks like, and then take it for a spin. Okay, before I take this out for a spin, I got to thank these guys right here, Triumph Motorcycles of Pompano Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Two Wheels World. Thank you, Ian, who's the salesman. Contact Ian if you want to buy a bike. He's a real good motorcycle rider. He races, he does stunts, he knows his motorcycles. It's definitely the guy you want to talk to. So I'd like to thank him and the dealership for allowing me to take these bikes out. So let's see what it sounds like. Let's start with that. All right, I am in road mode. It's a Triumph, so you have to pull the clutch in. Sounds deep and throaty. Now, I already took this out for a little spin, so I know what to expect. So now I can just report to you. All right, let's start sounding like Darth Vader. Get this thing closed. Okay. Well, right off the bat with this bike, I'm going to tell you right now, the first thing you feel is the torque. You barely let out the clutch and this bike wants to go. And it's because of that low end torque on this bike, it feels good. Now, I'm going to say one thing about this bike that's going to describe everything. Smooth. For a parallel twin, this is a very, very, very smooth bike. Quite enjoyable to ride, has excellent acceleration. The low end on this is awesome. Now, it is not a quick shifter, okay? So, you know, you have to use the clutch. Oh my goodness, what a shame, right? Anyway, the bike is super smooth, very, very, very smooth bike. I have no complaints about the smoothness of this bike and how the engine feels and how the torque feels. And that's just from a little bit of riding today. But let's take you guys for a spin here first and foremost. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? It handles decent. Let's take this at second gear here. Very nice. Handles extremely well. And you know, it's a slightly longer wheelbase. It is a Bonneville, but it's pretty nimble. It's obviously not going to be like a sport bike or anything like that, but it is pretty darn good. You feel well planted, you feel comfortable on this bike. The smoothness, you don't have any choppy acceleration. The gears are finding each other rather easily. It's a good bike. I have to admit, I am partial to Triumph, even though I don't own one, and I, by the way, never owned one, but I would like to at some point when I have a need. Maybe someday I'll get one for a track bike, because their triples are just, I don't know, I just look at Triumph and I just say, smooth. They're just smooth. Let me see how our right-handers feel with this bike. Oh, so smooth. Now, the seating position. I have a 32-inch inseam. I'm about 5'11 and a half, 5'11-ish, somewhere around there. When I buy shirts, I buy the 33-inch sleeves. And this bike, it's just perfect. It fits me perfectly. Now, the one thing that's missing on this bike is that really good-looking girl that was on the back of Commissario Manada's bike during that show. But I can work on that. I may have somebody else, let's just say. All right, this is smooth. And what I like about this bike too is that the seat, it's just one big long seat, so if you're riding and you get a little tired, you want to slide back and forth, you're not like stuck in one spot like you would be like a bobber where you have nowhere to go. This feels pretty good. All right, coming to a stop. I am so easily flat-footed on here. I mean, very easily flat-footed on this bike, and that's with the 32-inch inseam. So I think it's just, it's like a perfect size for me. It's very comfortable. All right, let's try some acceleration. Oh, nice. Very nice. Now, obviously, there's not going to be any wind protection here. We wouldn't expect any on a bike like this. But I hit 70 miles an hour, and it wasn't bad at all. I seem to think on just about any bike, anything under 70 is easy and tolerable for the most part, I guess. The get up and go is pretty good. That's third gear. I'm in third gear. You can see the speedometer there. And a decent amount of torque to get you up and moving if you need to get around traffic. All right, I don't want to overdo it here because this is not quite the spot to do that. And up here we're going to check out the braking. Since this does have ABS, I like to see how quickly ABS kicks in, and I like to feel the ABS to see if it's overbearing and too aggressive, or if it's just right. You know, of course, most of us grew up with no ABS and have dealt without ABS for a long time. But now that we have ABS, I can tell you in one instance in particular, it really saved my ass. All right, let's do a little emergency braking here. Oh, well, it did not kick in all that quick, if you heard that chirping of the tire. So, interesting. So it's not aggressive ABS on this bike. And I do not believe that the ABS is turned off. While it's quiet, the bike has, I'm just going to call standard mid controls. Let's try the brakes again. No, they are not aggressive brakes. The ABS is, the brakes are excellent, but they're chirping long before any ABS kicks in. So I must say they're pretty decent. Hi, how are you? What's that? Yeah, I'm too far away. You guys having a good day today? Awesome. Okay, so the word of the day with this bike is smooth. That's it. We're going to take this out on the highway, see how it feels, see what the wind feels like when we get above 70. Hopefully the traffic won't be too bad, and we'll get a good feel for this bike. Probably gonna have to tuck in because of the wind. So I'm only in 5th gear right now. I don't even feel the necessity to go to 6th gear yet. And that's at like 80 miles an hour. The bike just feels really good. Very low vibration. Of course, the wind is beating the shit out of me right now, but that is expected for this type of bike. Let's downshift and try to get through these people here. 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear, and okay. Wow, the 6th gear is almost unnecessary unless you're really flying. By the time you're going fast enough to need 6th gear, you're going to need some sort of a wind protection here for sure. Wow. Again, word of the day for this bike: smooth. Smooth, smooth, smooth. Torque, yes. Acceleration at the upper end, not as much. You saw how long it took me to get just at the edge of 100 miles an hour. It took a little bit, but this isn't the bike that's really made for doing that on a regular basis. So I am very happy with this bike. And in a way it kind of sucks, because when I test ride these bikes like this, I really like them. I kind of want to have one, but like all of us, I can only afford so much, and it just doesn't make any sense to have so many bikes. Actually, it does make sense from a guy's standpoint, but my wallet says otherwise, is sort of the problem with that. What a winner of a bike. I actually can't wait to take it over the railroad tracks, because normally the bikes with the dual rear shocks don't have a lot of travel, and they're a little tough, especially like the Indian Scout Bobber. Now I will tell you, if you compare this engine wise against the Indian Scout Bobber, the Indian Scout Bobber was definitely a faster bike and had quicker acceleration for sure. Not convinced it had the same amount of torque on the low end, but it certainly had a little more get up and go, in case you're like wondering which one you want to have. This one is certainly a little smoother, just doesn't have as much get up and go once you get up to speed. On the low end, that torque, woo, you really feel that torque. Yeah, all that get up and go feels good. Chirping the tires on the downshift, very smooth. The gauges are in a nice traditional cluster, analog, a little bit of LED at the bottom, or LCD in there. Kind of difficult to see, probably at night a little bit easier. You're getting older like me, harder to see those small numbers, which is why we all like the bigger displays all the time. Okay, 3rd gear, a little over 50 miles an hour. Let's see what the railroad tracks have to say on this dual rear shock motorcycle. Wow, very impressive. Smooth bike. Again, let's go back to this again. The word of the day is smooth. That's the word of the day. Smooth. This bike is buttery smooth. All right, so let's review a few things before I cut this out. low end torque, smooth, easy to ride, easy to handle. So here's a question: who is this bike for? Who would benefit from riding this bike? Right now I'm going to tell you, anyone. Is this a beginner bike? Because of how smooth the throttle response is and that the torque is down low, I think that someone could learn on this bike. Now, obviously not some small little kid who is, you know, you need to start learning on dirt bikes with tall seats, in my opinion. But this could be a beginner bike. This could be for an adult, maybe rode as a child a little bit and is first starting to get out into the world again of motorcycles. Yep, you can buy this bike. And the nice part about this, and this is the Chrome Edition, this is a very reasonably priced motorcycle starting in the $13,000 US range these days when you start looking at how much motorcycles cost. But it's the quality, because you can buy cheaper motorcycles with smaller engines, but the quality, this is a really quality bike from Triumph. And would it be nice if there was a quick shifter on it? Yeah, it'd be great. Would it be nice if there was some wind protection? Yeah, but then it wouldn't be a Bonneville. You know, this is the style, this is the look, this is the feel that you would expect from the Triumph Bonneville. And thank you, Commissario Minata, for getting me back into motorcycles during one of my breaks. I appreciate it. And it was the Triumph Bonneville that I saw, and I was like, you know what? I really like that bike. Anyway, this is Rimbo. Please like, please subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Again, give Ian a call if you want a bike out of the Pompano, Fort Lauderdale area, anywhere really on the East Coast. Come down and I think he will be happy to pick you up. Speaking of the devil, there he is right there. So once again, ask for Ian because he wears red Nike shorts, so that's what makes him cool.